to illustrate the use of the language was a guy called Booker T. Washington. No other American. Booker T. Washington was the first American presented to me in my life as a role model. I'm going to repeat what was said about him. He was a poor person, extremely poor. He needed more than he could ever dream to get, but he had tremendous drive. So I want you to listen to this. After he left Hampton University, he founded a school in Alabama called the Tuskegee Institute, almost imitating what he experienced at the Hampton Institute. But it was not any easier for him at Tuskegee than it was at Hampton as a student. So listen to this very well. The determination and resource which Booker Washington brought to Hampton Institute was needed now in even greater measure if he was to overcome the difficulties that confronted him at Tuskegee. That was burnt into my brain in the 50s. And I'm going to apply it to Awolowo. The determination and resource which Awolowo brought to his life and living, his survival up to 1954 was needed now in a greater measure if he was to overcome the difficulties that were going to confront him as a leader of Western Nigeria. So when he came in and he decided that he was going to relieve the people of Western region, the children of Western region, the kind of pain that he went through as a child and as a young adult and as everything, that it was his duty to make sure that fewer and fewer people go through that. That is the character of Awolowo. That is the education, self-education of Awolowo. Long before he went to law school and became a lawyer and no, he had been self-educated through very, very painful experience, which had been his teacher and for which we ought to adore him. Now, I don't know that much about Akintola's thing, but I know that he also had lived in a part of his life in northern Nigeria and spoke Hausa fluently and had friends among the Hausas that not just friends, but buddies. And he understood or thought he understood them and thought that, well, given the kind of position that the Fulani, more than the Hausa, but in those days were so bush, called everybody Hausa, that the Fulani had been placed by the British, that it was wise for the Yoruba to cozy up to them because whether we liked it or not, government was going to be passed into Fulani hand. Why not participate in government with them so that you are not sidelined? Because that's just the way things are. Well, who will blame him for that? An older and wiser me wouldn't blame him for a perspective. However, Chief Awolowo was a scholar, and he understood that Nigeria was not just going to be Hausa and Fulani. It was going to be Igbo, Ibibio, Anang, everything. What is the best structure for a government that had so many nations within it? Every time anybody talk about tribe, they offend me, unless they are talking about Ijebu or if they are talking about Yoruba, that's not a tribe, that's a nation. Don't offend me, or else you won't get a ban for Europe. But back to where I was, Awolowo was looking far into the future, looking at the kind of country that Nigeria could become if it was set right from the beginning. Chief Akintola was looking at whether it was possible to set anything right from the beginning if the Yoruba didn't participate in the government. And remember that Chief Akintola and Ayo Olusoji were both ministers in the Balewa government from 1957 to 1959 before the federal election. So there was more room for coziness with the people that in any case he had grown up around. So now that I'm knocking on 80, I'm able to evaluate things differently. Not extremely differently, but at least appreciate people for the conceptual framework that drove them into their positions, and to forgive whatever excesses seem to have occurred in their effort to drive their conceptual framework home. I think I should stop there for the time being. Olotu.
It's
muted.
Unmute yourself.
Somebody did that to me. Thank you, Baba Ayiloge. Thank you, Baba Adeniran Adeboye, for that piece that actually got us very educated about what we're doing. For folks who are just coming in, today we are looking at the policy, the belief, the political ideology of the mainstreamers of Nigerian politics in Yoruba land, our own people. Baba, I'm going to go back to Baba Ayiloge, but before that, Baba Akinshiku, do you have anything to add in terms of Baba Awolowo's policy and Akintola policy? How did people accept this policy? Which one was gaining ground and why was it gaining ground? And what is the main difference in this their policy?
Thank you, Olotu. The only thing that I see about the comparison between Chief Awolowo and Chief Akintola is that as growing up, we can basically see, as Professor Adeboye has pointed out, we all grew up with Chief Awolowo, that he has the foresight. He was a planner, he was an intellectual, wrote so many books, and he knew where he wanted to take his people to, the Yoruba people. Subsequently, he, like Banji stated, he veered towards focusing on the larger Nigerian state itself, thinking that what he has done for Yoruba people, he could duplicate it at the center. But unfortunately, it becomes extremely difficult because of the conflicting ideas, essentially, that especially the North had at the time. Awolowo's particular interest basically focuses on uplifting the masses, whereas that contradicts the philosophy of another pushing. It doesn't focus on the masses as such.
You mean Papa Awolowo's policy?
Excuse me?
Were you talking about Papa Awolowo's
Yeah, I'm
policy?
talking about our policy, which focus on the masses, on uplifting the masses and making their life better.
In the beginning, was that the intention?
Yeah, it has always been the intention, because when you look at his achievement of free education, of rural development and all that, it focuses on the masses, not just on the very few people that is why some people tag it socialist. And that is why the British people also were not comfortable with it. But why
do you think that, despite the fact that he has the intention, why do you think it was not able to achieve it?
Because
well, he did it. He did it when he was Premier of Western Region. That is most of the things that that Yorubas enjoyed when he was Prime Minister, along with his other lieutenants like Ajashin and others, who subscribed to his notion of uplifting, were people oriented, educating the masses, giving them free education. That focuses really on uplifting the masses. He focused on the
cooperative bank.
That education is very important. And even up to now, in any society, whoever focuses on education, whoever educated, will have that education. The sky is the limit. But when you juxtapose that with the northern oligarchy, which focus exclusively on feudal system, so that is the clear conflict. And he thought eventually he would to duplicate that, and that's why maybe he veered to the center. And he believed that in uplifting that people, you focus on that. But when you compare that to the north, which of course they just doesn't care. There is no plan, there is no sight for those people because it is feudal. And that is why up to now that the Yoruba people continue to enjoy that benefit. Did that answer the question?
Yes, that did. But Baba, Chief SL Ladoke Akintola, despite the fact that, why do you think he wanted us, the politician or the politics at that time, to go to the center? Was it because of his interaction with the Northerners or what?
Well, he believed that in the center there is a lot of power in the center, and that when NCNC and Zik Party align itself with NPC with the Northern region, that Yoruba were excluded from the benefits accruing to those people in the center. To some extent, that is true, because most of the key ministers were Igbos then, because they are much more better educated than the North. So most of these DC positions were going to the Igbos. The Vice Chancellor of the University of Lagos, the Vice Chancellor of the University of Ibadan, which were federal institutions, were being given to the Igbos. And also in the distribution of offices, he thought that if he could bring along Western politics and align with NPC, that the Yoruba people will be able to benefit from that. But that, to me, it's kind of short-sighted, because when you focus exclusively on appointments, that is derived exclusively or to benefit or designed to benefit the few. And that is what I'm saying, that our own policy focuses more on the masses so that you can uplift the larger masses rather than focusing on just individual. That is the clear difference. And that is why today, if we want to be frank with ourselves, whenever we are talking about the achievement of the Western region, all of them, they are attributed basically to Chief Obafemi Awolowo. And in that particular area, Chief S.A. Akintola's were rarely mentioned. Maybe Banji wanted to contribute.
Yes.
Thank you, sir. Yeah, Baba Yiloge, yes.
Yes, I must thank this light is shining on my face. I can see it's blinding me. Okay, now I must thank both of you, Professor Deboye and Prince Akechukwu. You've done a good job. However, I want us to, we've known Chief Obafemi Awolowo. We've even known to some extent Chief S.L. Akitola. But I want us to do some interpretative analysis now on the lasting legacies of the disputes that started in 1961 from the Jaws Action Group Convention. I know some of these things. My father was a candidate to the Regional House of Assembly in 1965. So I was actually young, but I was close to one of the actors and also read the history. Now, there were so many things so many issues. But clearly, what most Yoruba or Nigerian politicians got out of that was that, look, Awolowo was intransigent. He believed that he has to go, building the party and winning an election, if it need be, alone. I mean, when I say alone, within his party. He was much more that we are going to appeal directly to the poor people, the Talakawas in the north and all that. They will vote for me when they realize what I have in store for them. Like Dipo said, and to some extent, Professor Adeboye, when Akintola was much more accommodative of those from the north, because he spoke their language very well. He's been in the federal government. Once you are there, he was a minister of health, he was a minister of communication, and minister, about three portfolios within that 3 years that he was. And I can still remember when he was canvassing, and you can get this if you have access to some of the tapes, when he was campaigning in 64, before the 65 election, he was actually mocking some of the action group members that, instead of letting them align with those in the federal government, that the people will have shared all the juicy, and they still use that in Nigeria today, all the juicy positions. And what will be left? He said, Akinfosile, come bere lọ́wọ́ Akinfosile, wáyà mélòó ló ti ta ní Ministry of Communication sí ìlú tiẹ̀, pé wáyà gan tó ń ta níbi iṣẹ́ ibi tó ń fi sí tó ti ń ta wáyà, wọn kò tiẹ̀ lè ta sí ìlú tiẹ̀. So in which case, why Akintola was actually looking at the center as a place to be able to get more what they call pork barrel in politics of US and other places. Awolowo was much more concerned about building a nation, replicating the success in the South. And I suggest that perhaps at a point he has seen the development of what education, free education, full employment, free healthcare, what it could do, with his own experiment in the West. And he also dreaming that if he can extend this to other areas, this is the beauty of the Awolowo position. But then that's not even the lesson I want us to do. Now, after the quarrel, Yoruba became split into two political camps. Those who said, well, we should do a reapportionment with the North. Let's even be part of that. And those people formed in Yoruba land, formed the backbone for MPN, National Party of Nigeria. As a matter of fact, I was telling Shola the other day that part of what people were saying then, because Akinjide and Akinloye were the true, Ibadan people that took advantage of this. They are never in the party in Yoruba land or in the West. They can hardly win the election in their constituency, but they always get appointments in the northern part of the country. I mean, when the northerners form, government or form the administration, they are always invited to government. Akinjide, right from the First Republic, was in the federal government, even the Second Republic. Now, Ibadan used to say that Ibadan Eforiji mi. Mo kọ́kọ́ tọrọ àforíjì náà pé tẹ́ bá ti bá Akínlóye Ìbàdàn tẹ́ Mákindé Akíndèdèrè ló wá kù síbẹ̀. So the thing is that this imundumundu, they said, gbogbo imundumundu tó wà ní federal government are there. So you have the people who were in the opposition in the West had their eyes and ears on what benefit that could accrue to them from being part of the federal government. Wọ́n kò lè máa jẹ gbogbo kìíní lọ káwa náà dúró, àwọn Ọlọ́run ní ká má lọ bẹ̀. Now, that continued. The MPN títí dé PDP, ara ẹ̀ ní Ọbásanjọ́, Ṣẹ́gun Ọbásanjọ́ wà. Everybody's, if you want to make it with the help of the Fulanis and the power in the north, you have to distance yourself from Awolowo's, camp. Even though Awolowo's camp were the mainstream of Yoruba politics. You will know this. I want to put our laugh. I want to put our back. Our Afenifere, they were the main Awolowo group. Those who still believed in the ideas of Awolowo. Now, the other people continued to say, and they're always rewarded. Even up the day to when Moshood Abiola wanted to start, he also felt that he has to contravene or contradict whatever Awolowo was doing. Now, Obasanjo too did, so much so that they had to call him the second time to come back. Falae was regarded as one of the, remember Awolowo, Falae was a member of the Afenifere, the main ideological group. And Falae scored more than 96% of Yoruba votes in that election. Yet they gave it to to Obasanjo. So it is the same thing, whittling down the influence of the Awolowo group. So much so that our David Tinubu. Now, by the time we got to the Tinubu era, things had fallen apart so much so that people were now, one somebody could they give you a lot of money. In those days, we used to laugh when we hear that an emir or some people's share money in the north, and they all did. I thought, how is that possible? It was never possible in Yoruba land.
Baba Yiloge, let me ask you this question, if you can backtrack a little bit.
I will.
Before Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu forged together the Northwest and the Southwest Alliance, if we look at the mainstreamers of Yoruba, Papa Awo and Chief SL Akintola, which party do you think Asiwaju Ahmed Tinubu, favored or was
Tinubu was relatively, listen, Tinubu was a newcomer into the politics of the country. Mm-hmm. We are talking about first, second, or third republic. He joined in the third republic. He wasn't a force to be reckoned with at that time. I mean, now, Tinubu's ascendancy to power started when he became the governor, and the Afenifere group, the Awolowo group, actually helped him into power.
Yeah.
Now,
in favor of the Awolowo group, Awolowo's ideals at that time.
Listen, you were here. Tinubu was regarded as part of us. Those of us who were the Awolowo group, the Afenifere group.
AD.
And don't forget that the Afenifere people, including Bola Ige, formed the Advanced Alliance for Democracy, AD. And in Yoruba land, up to that point, if you want to win election, that is the group you're going to belong to. If you are in any other group, you can never. So Tinubu took advantage of that. He joined, and we all said he was one of us. Now, please let me explain that. So, after he won the election, that is when he started distancing himself from that. Now, let me explain something. Something also happened that is very crucial. When somebody says, oh, Tinubu is a strategist, I always look at them and laugh. Before then, whoever is in power in Yoruba land, or in this main group, were in charge of whatever it is, like guess. Look at the problem with Awolowo and Akintola. When Awolowo was there, he was the head of government, was the premier, the premier. When Akintola was there, he was able to splinter the group. And some followed him. Now, when Tinubu eventually got there, none of the old men, you see, this is part of the problems. The old men wanted continuity. They saw in Tinubu a younger person who could actually, Adesanya was 79 at that time. Adesanya didn't want to go and be running for governor somewhere. So they looked for, in fact, what they told us here when we told them not to participate in that transition, government or election, was that they were only going there to capture their geographic area. They don't want Yoruba land to fall in the hands of the other people, that is the Akintola, not the Akintola group, now the other, what we call the reactionary group that believe in going to the center for the Imodomodo, that is the Laguerre and all that. So they quickly told us, I was at the Yoruba office, Tipo was there, I think Dr. Adeboye was there, when Bola Ige said, no, we are going there to capture our geographic position, and when we do that, from there we will do all kinds of things. Now, to our surprise, when Tinubu now got there, he fell in power. Now you have, with the new constitution, it wasn't the kind of constitution that Awolowo operated on. It was a presidential system of government where you can single-handedly name your ministers and all that. And I'll give you an example. I was explaining this to a group today. When Awolowo wanted to go to the center, he preferred Inahoro to be the premier of the Western region.
Right.
He wanted Inahoro, but the party prevailed by, pushing Akintola forward. Now, in the kind of system we have now, Awolowo didn't have that kind of system. That's why they were like-minded people. They would debate issues. But right now, even in Lagos, if Tinubu doesn't want you to be the governor of Lagos, you are no longer the governor of Lagos. Go and ask Gbode. There was never a time that our polity descended to this level of corruption and lack of organization. Awo was a party man, and he accepted. Now, let's go back. By the time Tinubu got in there, gradually he started sidetracking the old men, and all of a sudden, all the youths started, going to Tinubu. They don't go to Adesanya or any of or Dosumu for that matter, because those people have nothing to offer. They're not in government. They don't control any Laguerre. And so the youth move. Even Buckner, that was actually placed from Afenifere to run with Tinubu, he kicked her out. Now, that is the kind of system that created this kind of a rot that we're going through. You understand? So we need to be able to clarify some of these things to our youth.
Yeah, let me call Baba Adeboye because he wanted to add something while you were talking. Baba Adeboye.
Yes. Ekushe.
And if it is possible, if you can touch on Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu's politics.
Look, I left Nigeria 52 years ago, 1969.
I wasn't even born then.
So what I'm saying is, don't make me try to explain things at the same level that I explained Awolowo and Akintola, I can't explain Bola Tinubu that way because there was no such person when I was laser focusing on Nigeria. There is only what I hear and what I see. But I will say something about him, but it will not be with the same confidence that I talk about the elders. The people I actually lived under and had to look up to. Now, let's go to rapprochement with the North. It's a matter of method. Awolowo was not against rapprochement with the North, not at all. He just was not going to sell his political position and everything to feudalism, which is what the Fulani represented.
Mm-hmm.
You must remember that in the 1959 federal election, Awolowo, J.S. Taka, J.S. Olawonyi, and a whole bunch of other people had an alliance. There was the United Middle Belt Congress, which was in alliance with the Action Group. I hope you remember that.
Yes.
Out of the 170 seats or so in the North, Awolowo Action Group alliance with UMBC won 25 from the North to add to whatever they won in the West and the East. As the Kiwis alliance with NEPU, Northern Elements Progressive Union, Aminu Kano, they won only 8 seats. So you cannot fail to recognize that Awolowo's trend was to work, as Baji Agiloge said, with the Talakwa, people who are marginalized and who are not getting the benefits of feudalism. They were the majority of the people in the North, and Awolowo rapprochement with the North was through the disenfranchised, not through the privileged. So the difference in philosophy is what? Akintola was seeing people with whom he could have a coalition and govern and get a share of the national cake, as Fani Kayode would say in those days. Awolowo was looking for a people that could develop in parallel with the way he developed people of Western Nigeria, which were not all Yoruba in any case. There were Ishoko, Edo, and Igbo in Western Nigeria. Awolowo was not a monolithic Yoruba person. He just had a majority Yoruba in the government that he ran. So he believed that he could run Nigeria also if given the opportunity. I don't want us to forget that. The second thing is that Akintola was not without his own perspective also about how Nigeria should be run. However, the following was very, very important. The 1951 election, 51 December, 52 January, in which Action Group overtly won 38 seats in the Western House of Assembly out of 80. And 5 more seats by people that were action groupers but ran as independent, like Alhaji Adegbenro and so many and other names that I will mention, for a total of 43 people who were behind Awolowo in the formation of the government of Western Region. The fantastic lie that Chinua Achebe, who was a student at University College Ibadan at that time, was telling the world that Awolowo's Yoruba people crossed carpet to make Awolowo premier, that soured the relationship between Yoruba and Igbo till today. Akintola was right in saying that, look, these people have these people have rubbished us for so much we can never have a real rapprochement with them. And if we allow them to be the only one that have rapprochement with the North, to whom the Europeans were going to hand government anyway, Ajego. So Akintola was not, Akintola was not wrong. It was a different perspective. And neither of them was dealing without data. It's just that when you look longitudinally, when you are looking for a scholar, when you are looking for somebody who has a long-term projection of what is going to happen to our peoples, Awolowo had it, whichever way he got it. He had it. He had it in his blood. He had it in his brain, and he was not going to let short-term advantages.
I have a question. I have a question for you.
Long-term planning. Yes, sir.
I have a question for you.
Yes, sir.
And I want you to try to. I want you to try to explain to us your perspective on what you just told us on the larger Yoruba political thoughts since then, because and let me also say that even now, some who were supporting Bola Tinubu at a point will say that what Awolowo couldn't do, that is to bring to be in the mainstream of Nigerian political thought, to put Yoruba in the mainstream of Nigerian politics, that he has achieved it. And I keep saying, let me explain that. And I keep saying that Akintola's position of having this rapprochement with the North was the basis for which some of our people started saying, so let's go and let's form alliance. And that sought some of them into PDP, to MP, to all those things. And now my position is that, all right, we tried the Awolowo's formula. We've tried the Akintola's formula with people, right now. This is the Akintola's formula. To have people in the Northwest, be in alliance with the people in the Southwest, because those are the two largest political areas of the country. They've combined. During Tinubu, with Tinubu's shepherd, as the shepherd. What has that gotten us? It's even worse than, we are worse off for it. And the third force now is saying, listen, we tried the Awolowo's formula, we tried the Akintola's formula. Right now, it's not working. Now, Nigeria, let Yoruba people head home. We are a nation. We are a proud nation of achievers. Take the time that Awolowo was uninterrupted during the colonial regime. Awolowo's problem started in 1960, right on the date of the independence. By 2 years after, they pushed him into prison. And every Yoruba had always had problems since then. Even Moshood Abiola, who actually dined and built houses for emirs and all that, couldn't get there. Now people are saying, listen, how many generations of our people are we going to waste into this unholy alliance? So look at this from that perspective. We are not talking about whether Awolowo our this thing is not our discussion today is not whether Awolowo can stand on a pen or Akintola can even achieve the same. No, we've passed that. We've discussed that in the past. What we want to know now is that, by and large, those who criticize Awolowo were saying, yes, he should have. I've had people say, well, he too should have be able to form alliance with them in the North. And so maybe, no. We are now saying we've tried those. Unless you want to argue that we haven't tried the Akintola, to me, we have.
Alàgbà Banji, Awolowo being bad-mouthed that way is a victim of his own success.
Right, I've said that before, but right.
Huh?
Yeah.
He's a victim of his own success. Àwa tó jẹ́ pé Famoriyo bread là ń tà ní gbọ̀ngàn tó jẹ́ pé àbámá bóyá àbámá ráyè roko nísìnyí ó fún wa lẹ́kọ̀ọ́ ọ̀fẹ́ and we learn to read, write, and don't criticize him. That's okay. That's part of his success. What I want us to know is that Ojutila, it's no longer in the year 2014 or thereabout, and they were doing the amalgamation of Nigeria. What's his name? Frederick Lugard described the Fulani as Middle Easterners who understood what Europeans were about and were easier to work with, and they were the only partners they were going to have among the primitive people. In other words, the Fulani, the Hausa, the Yoruba, the Igbo, the everything, those are Negroid people that must be governed viciously with the collaboration of these other people that are Semitic people. That's the way that Lugard described them. You can Google that. So by 1948, 49, 50, if you did not understand the original design by the European colonialists and their co-opting of Fulani as whatever, you wouldn't know which way to go or not to go unless you were a thinker, which is what Awolowo was. Today, nothing that Lugard said in 1914 or Ahmadu Bello said in October 12, 1960, those two things are any different from one another, and they are the string that runs down the way Nigeria is governed or attempted to be governed. So our people now have seen what they did not see or quite understand when Awolowo was deciding that federalism was the best structure for Nigeria if we are going to stay together. That Nigeria is not a nation, it's an agglomeration of nations. He saw through that. He asked, so if we must have Nigeria, then let's have a federation. Those who say they did not see through what I described as Lugard's position in 1914, which was repeated by Sir Ahmadu Bello on October 12, 1960, and has been repeated by a number of arrogant Fulani ever since, that Nigeria is theirs for taking. Now, obviously, nobody is going around campaigning against the Fulani or anything like that. The Fulanis are campaigning against themselves by arbitrary behavior, killing children, ransom, and bragging, creating a government in which 90% of the ministers are Fulani. No, they are the ones now that are I'm not, just a minute. When it comes to the generation of Bola Tinubu, forgive me, in age. And in terms of...
Which one, the official age or the declared age?
No matter which one you say.
Whether the real or the unreal.
I know why I'm saying so. But second thing though, during the time I have absent, I could not understand everything. I do not know what is driving them. But I dare say the following. In and out of his camp, that is, they can find it in every party in Nigeria. In fact, it's very difficult to find a politician in Nigeria today, Yoruba or not. I didn't say it's impossible. It's difficult to find one that is really in love with the people the way them Awolowo were. They are in love with whatever they can make out of governing process. And they will use any and every trick in the book to get at what they want. So now, to answer your question, to answer your question directly, or as directly as I can, let us watch and see whether the people of Yoruba land see themselves as having learned a lesson. If you approximate what a philosophy by what Awolowo did, and you approximate another philosophy by what Akitola did, and a third philosophy by Abiola, and a fourth philosophy by
No. It's look. I don't want us to. The same philosophy, the Akintola. Those who want to take either for selfish reasons or for other reasons, they always say, "Well, look, let's have this rapprochement with the North. You know, that is the best thing to do." It's the same policy. There are two. And these are not the only two things that, that cause the problem, in the actual group. However,
I understand.
Hold on, sir. I'm taking that which have been used repeatedly, even up to now. Even at his unguided moment, Tinubu was said to have said what Awolowo couldn't achieve, that is bringing the two together.
Look, you are putting too much emphasis on that.
Listen to me. I'm making a point. I am making a point that, look, it's not about emphasis. I don't know what you mean by emphasis. However, what I am saying is for you to understand the doctrine that brought MKO out into policy to be able to go against free policy.
Mi ò lè wá lónìí o, so màá pè yín padà.
I'm going to mute, so we won't be. Baba Adeniran, please, you need to unmute yourself, sir, because I
contribute. I just want something.
What I don't want us to do here is that the focus of this thing is to see the two main issues in. Unlike Professor Adeboye, I've been in and out of Nigeria in the last few decades. I just came back. I even, joined the political fray there at the point.
So Baba, can you actually explain to us the motive behind Tinubu's type of politics? Was there anything that showed him that he was going to be an achiever compared with Akintola? So what is his motive in forging with these northerners? I think it's very, very important for us to know.
Listen.
Why did he think he's going to do it? He's going to be an achiever better than the two previous ones with their policies?
Well, look, I'm going to touch on that, but I'm even less concerned about that also. The reason is this. For every reason given by anybody, not just a politician, for every official reason you give, there is always a personal one that you are not ready to share with the rest of the people. You always come out with what looks good, what people will say, well, that's a good thing. But you have your own motive. Every politician is ambitious. If you start as a councillor, you want to be the chairman. If you be a chairman, you want to be the governor. So every politician is ambitious. So we can't fault anybody for trying to be anything. Tinubu came out in a few years, almost 4 years before joining up with Buhari, that such a person cannot be. He's not a Democrat. He had a very stinging condemnation of Buhari. Yet 4 years later, he came back and saw
this was surprised people, yes.
Right, which surprised many people. But like I said, politics is an act of possibilities. What is possible? You chart your course, and I can only guess that Tinubu felt that if he can combine with with Buhari, he could be the vice president. But some people, particularly Bukola Saraki, became vocal in condemning what he called the Muslim ticket. That the situation that the country found itself is different from when MKO ran with another Muslim. So that they wouldn't tolerate a Muslim ticket. That actually went viral in the country, in the political circle, that no, we're not going to accept that. More so when Buhari had been known to be a Muslim.
Please mute yourself. If you are doing, I will just end up muting everybody if you allow interference. Mute yourself if you are not talking to the microphone with us here.
Sorry. The what is now what now happened was that Tinubu was now supposed to bring, and this is very crucial, to nominate somebody, a Christian, and he went out and bring Osinbajo. We all know that these are all public records. There was no place where the ACN or the party itself went together and said, let's bring Osinbajo. That is part of the problem that we have that the young ones don't know, that we have bastardized the political system so much so. Remember, I said something earlier on, that when Awolowo wanted to go to the center, he preferred an Ahoro. But the party chose Shifa Akintola. What does that tell you? It wouldn't have happened that way today. Whoever Tinubu wanted, of all the people in ACN, in Yoruba land, here is Osinbajo, who was actually brought to the limelight by Tinubu himself by making him a commissioner in Lagos State. He was not a politician. And he single-handedly brought him and put him there. And some people have traced the fact that they are cousins. Tinubu's mother and the man's mother are cousins. They are from the same area. And these are the kind of rot we found ourselves in the system. So that when you put your cousin there, he's not going to rock the boat. If you want him to step aside, he's going to step aside for you. However, did they have that luxury? Because he had men of integrity working with him. And he too was a man of integrity. Once the party said this is what we wanted, he will abide by it. Let me give you another example. CEO Adebayo and Olawoyin in Kwara State at that time. Olawoyin has been a very, 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 very versatile and fire-breathing action grouper. He wanted to run for governor. They did the first primary, or what they call shadow election. CEO Adebayo won. They did the second one. The third one, even though Awolowo would have preferred Olawoyin. So but today, the kind of politics that we have in the country is where a single person, no matter, Awolowo was a very brilliant person. He was a brilliant policy wonk. He wasn't just handpicking. He can support you and campaign for you. If the people voted, in the 50s, and I'll make this the third one. In the 50s, in Akure, my father was active in the election. Chief BFA Adelewa, who was the principal of Oyemekun Grammar School, the school I attended later on in life. wanted to represent they wanted to contest. They contested once. She Falaye, the name was Falaye then, who actually, who went to represent the action group at the Federal House, won that primary. Chief Adelewa petitioned to the party at Ibadan, and the leader, the Chief Awolowo, said, well, they were all invited, including my father, who was a staunch supporter of Chief Falaye. They, after everybody had said what they had to say, Chief Awolowo, now as the chairman of that committee, ruled that, listen, to satisfy his conscience, they have to go back and, have another primary election. They went, and in there will be two-tier election. The people in the party will select electors who will the second day elect which went fine. Chief Adelewa lost that election again, and then petitioned that it was Ayiloge and his family that voted. So now listen to this. The day Chief Awolowo came to Akure to talk about, to the party, Chief Adelewa was still adamant that that was not an election. Then Chief Adelewa said, listen, what do you want from us? This is not your personal party. This is our party. We had the election, the shadow election first. You lost to the same man. The second time you lost. And then you have you are still, what do you want us to keep having this primary until you win the election? Tell me, in Lagos State, how many people have been dropped from from running for election, and they just don't do that? We have jointly, because we shy away from actually talking about some of these things, we have jointly destroyed not only our land in Yoruba land, which was a shining example, but we've actually also helped to destroy Nigeria. So much so that we now have somebody who feel that, look, we have accomplished all we wanted to. And now the Fulani can dominate every sector, and there is nothing absolutely the rest of us can do. We have our people in the National Assembly. They are not even, they are complicit in it.
I think, can I put in a word that the way things are now, it appears without any iota of doubt that the old model of trying to reason with the North, trying to work with them, has not worked, and it will never work. It is obvious. We hear statements from the North telling us that, look, this is what we want. And it appears that all the politicians in the House, in the South, have been programmed to accept this kind of ridiculous statement coming from the North, that it is we, it is our country. And we have to examine.
And it is what we want.
Yeah, this is what we want, and we must implement it. I was reading something yesterday when a Northerner, who is supposed to be a spokesperson for the so-called Governance Progressive Forum, and he was talking where, if in fact we agree to have a state police, the state police, each of them must be under supervision of the federal police, to the extent that their training, the state police training, and of course, their right to purchase arms must be subjected to the federal police. It must be under the police. This is their thinking. And we have to examine, this is the concern of mainstream Yorubanos are thinking that is leading to this agitation for Yoruba nation. There is no way that these people are willing to compromise. They have an agenda which they have been following for decades. They have it. This is what we want. And they have been prosecuting it. It is we in the South that is designing our own politics to fit into their own thinking. And that is totally wrong.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. Efufulele, Yoruba people will say efufulele. For people who are just joining us, I'm going to be taking questions. So we have the rest of the time to answer the questions and clarify this issue. But let me explain it again. What we are looking at today, we are looking at Papa Awo's policy of confederacy. Let's do it by ourselves. Let's get in there. Let's work on the poor people. That when they see our success, they may follow us. Let's concentrate here. As against Baba Kitola's no, let's deal with them. Eat with them.
Shola, let me correct one impression that you've been making. I tried to do so before.
Okay.
You said Baba Olao's confederacy, as if confederacy is something. A confederacy is not what you just think it is. And I can't let that go without.
I appreciate it.
Initially, in the Constitutional Conference,
okay,
I would thought the best thing would be a confederacy. But the Lagos delegation, Zik in the East.
I'm going to mute. Okay, now. Okay, unmute yourself, sir. Please, people who are on this forum, when you talk, mute yourself. Yes, sir, go ahead.
So I will looking at the country as it is, of various nationalities, thought that autonomy of each constituent body, that's what the confederacy means. That is, Yoruba ní autonomy tiẹ̀, Igbo ní tiẹ̀, Hausa ní tiẹ̀, oníkálukú ṣe tiẹ̀ bí, you know, that was initially, but later on, the Lagos delegation to that constitutional conference actually supported federal system.
Okay.
And the East, even Ahmadu Bello sided and supported confederacy. That is how the debate started. Awolowo being, I mean, like Dr. Adeboye said, the realist. The British wanted us to stay together as a nation. So, and then they listened to the East, they listened even to Lagos delegation. And I would say, well, look, in view of this, a federal system will be preferable if we have to be together. And what is the federal system? Federal system means the supremacy of the joint body, that is, I mean the joint government. That is, government tí ìwọ fọwọ́ sí, tèmi fọwọ́ sí, tí gbogbo wa á lọ bẹ̀. We will give part of our destiny to that same government. And then we can all benefit from whatever we can bring together. So I don't want you to keep saying the Confederacy of Awolowo was the greatest advocate of a federal system. If you read Awolowo's book, if you read Awolowo's Path to Nigerian Constitution, it's all there.
Okay.
He turned out to be one of the most brilliant advocates of a federal system. So don't say confederacy in the same line with what we were saying. What we were saying before was the tactics of achieving a goal. The tactics was Awolowo believed that he can appeal with his political party that were going national to appeal to the people directly. The poor people, all they have to see is what he has done in the West.
As the achievement. Thank you, sir. Thank you. Thank you for that clarification. I'm going to take questions. Adenekan, let's go straight to the question, man. Sir.
Ẹ ṣé gan olóòtú.
We are trying to speak English so our everybody can understand this important topic.
Okay.
Mr. Adeneka, thank you, sir.
Right. Good afternoon, Baba Banji Ayiloge and Professor Adeboye. My name is, and thank you very much, Madam Moderator. My name is Adegwega Adeneka. Baba Banji, thanks for a lot of the insights that you've shared today. I know that you've been embedded with AG, and because of Professor Adeboye's also age, and he's been embedded with AG in the early days, you were able to kind of provide some insight into the parallels, or maybe some form of contradiction between Awolowo's approach and Akintola's approach. But at that time we had the Westminster type of government. Now we have the presidential type of government, which makes it easier for an individual to kind of lord his ideas on the constituent parts of the nation. And for somebody like somebody like Chief Tinubu to kind of form an alliance and make it easier to work. But having said all of that, I think probably one of the, hello, sir, the issue before us now is the survivability of us as Yorubas. Maybe Chief Akintola was right when, as Professor Adeboye said earlier, about, when he alluded to a statement made by Achebe, lying about who had the majority in the Western House of Assembly, about cross-carpeting, kind of calling a dog a bad name in order to hang it. But all that is history. We want to look forward now in terms of the survivability of us as a nation and as a people, as Yorubas, given the prevailing insecurity situation in the country, unemployment of our youth, the high unemployment, and almost loss of identity for us as a nation. I think the talking points, the strategy will be, how do we move forward? The Baba Kishiku made a statement about procuring arms, that it has to go through the federal system. How do we break such backbone? What are the options open to us to kind of create an atmosphere where we can extricate ourselves and move forward as a nation, well, maybe still within, I don't know, within the context of Nigeria as a federation, but moving our agenda forward in order to kind of free us so that we can develop at our own pace.
Exactly. Yes, that's what I want.
Yes, develop at our own pace to reduce unemployment, reduce insecurity, and free up the talent of our youth. I will yield to you, sir.
Well, thank you. Mr. Adeneka, thank you for your perspective also. Let me also tell you that what we're doing today is to tie all the knots or cross the T's and all that, so that our youth can know where we started, where we're going, or where we are, to explain where we ought to be going. And your question is now asking, where are we going? Now I'll go to that. During Awolowo's gold, which I refer to as the golden era of Yoruba achievement and politics, you have free education, free health, full employment. Remember, you talk about employment and agriculture. Those were the cardinal programs to transform a society at that time. And so let me even give you an example. The free education was so successful at a point that they saw that those school leavers, those who were leaving what they call standard 6 at that time, may not have places to go. Have you heard about the modern school? They created modern school. And once you go to the modern school, you've elevated to some, in fact, some of them spent a year in teacher training later and became, the grade 2 teachers or something. So this, at that time, people sat down to look at the development. And the development of Yoruba land was rapid. Either socially, economically, politically, we were like the people. In fact, most of what is happening to Yoruba today, you know, was the envy felt by those our detractors who thought they could never meet us. Now, when we now submitted ourselves to them piecemeal as their slave, and they now control our destiny, we could not do anything. To be able, like you rightly pointed out, to do anything, you have to go to the north. They created JAM. University of Ife was not a federal institution before. It was a state institution. It was one of the best around the world. Look at the building. Look at the whole thing. If you go there now, it's a sorry state. WNBC was the Western television. The Daily Times, now I don't know how many of you were aware. The Daily Times was one of the biggest conglomerates in West Africa. It was the largest English circulation daily in Africa, behind Al Haram of Egypt. Where are they today? These are institutions that our people built. And to say that all those things were frittered away because we submitted ourselves willingly,
Yes.
you know, to the federal mind. It's not even the federal mind, to the unitary mind, because they have even changed the rules unilaterally. And now, what we want you to know today is to know that I will believe, you know, even while embracing the national aspiration, believe that by doing what is right, he can capture votes. But they frustrated him. Part of the frustration, part of what was used in Yoruba land was the cooperation with the center, that that we will benefit. But we are now saying that right now, we have cooperated. That is what I want us to think about. We have cooperated with the North for the last 6-7 years. And what have we gotten for it? We've gotten misery.
We should just forget about the Mudubudu and start our own lives.
Right. So we've had people being killed. We have we have Fulani youth scattered all over West Africa, and they are being sent to our midst to kill us. This is what we've gotten from it. So we want you to have that background. No, how do we move? What we are now saying, moving is for our nation to become a nation and control our own destiny. That is why we say self-determination. That is why we are saying that if a Yoruba nation is carved out today, we will be about the 14th, 13th or 15th nation in ranking around the world out of 193 or 94.
Population.
In population. So what are we waiting for? We are not going to lose anything. Right now, we are even being we are one of the pillars that sustain the country. Most of the countries above the river Niger can't produce anything. We are the bread basket for them. And then you have some youth say, oh, because they don't know. This kind of program is necessary to be able to educate. If you know where you started and you know where you are, surely you will be able to find your way. Because some of our people, we've had some people ask some dumb questions. Oh, where are we? We don't have oil. What are we going to do? Our oil didn't develop our land with oil money. So we need to know, Mr. Adeneko, I'm just letting you know that this program is so important if our youth can go to the YouTube, listen to it, listen to the argument from the beginning to the end, then you'll be able to know what happened before you. Those who are using, why we don't want to be unfair. I mean, we don't want to be unfair to Chief Akitola. We are not saying Akitola's program is bad. We are not even saying Chief Awolowo's program has no other alternative. That's not the point. The point is that we have exhausted, we have seen how the opposition of the other people around Nigeria were opposed to Awolowo. It was after his death that some people say he's the best president Nigeria did not have. But when he was alive, they were afraid of him. Now, we have now shifted to the Akitola doctrine by cooperating with the North, and it has not achieved anything. Rather, it has helped to enslave us, not only as second-class citizens, it has made us the fourth-class country. What do we do?
So, Baba, you know, there are more questions. I'm going to.
Can I address certain aspects raised by Mr. Delegan in terms of the presidential system? It is true that the presidential system also has weakened the resolve of the Yoruba or the performance, but also we cannot totally absorb our governors and our local representatives. The disease that this federal government controls everything has resulted in the state government and the local government sitting back and not doing anything. In Nigeria, most of these local government people don't even know that they can make laws. Recently, the 17th Southern state came up and said, look, we're not going to take it anymore. We are going to enact a ban on open grazing. They are pushing it forward, leaving the Buhari now totally confused. Those are the kind of things that we also have to send to our elected officials. They too must begin to assert themselves and to use their power in the right way to uplift the people in their respective states and local government.
Thank you. Mr. Wale Oni. Mr. Wale Oni.
Yes, thank you very much for taking my question. I would just like to ask our knowledgeable elders, do you think we need a new constitution for the future of Yoruba land, sirs?
Baba Adeniran, Baba Adeniran, are you still here? Baba Adeniran. Baba Adeniran Adeboye.
You are not calling in the order we raise our hands.
Can you hear me?
Okay, yes. Can you answer that question? I'm going to call everybody.
To be fair to everybody, let me just start this way. We are learning. We've been learning very slowly since 1951. We must not assume that we could see all of the future in 1951. What is dangerous right now is that we are in 2021 and we are not even able to see all of the past. So we must be very careful and very humble. The question about whether we need a new constitution, from my own point of view, is to be addressed by, first of all, allowing each nationality from whom the British took autonomy to recover their autonomy is a first step. Yoruba autonomy must be restored. We were not born Nigerian, we were born Yoruba. Awolowo was born in 1909. Nigerian Federation did not, Nigeria amalgamation happened 5 years later. So we cannot be so enslaved to the notion of Nigeria and forget the nationalities from which the British took autonomy. So if we are going to do it right, let the nationalities recover their autonomy, then they can go back and negotiate a constitution if they want to stay together.
Win 3 points.
But putting the cart before the horse, we will be in that same trouble for the next millennium if we are still around.
Okay, thank you, sir. Mr. Oye or Mrs. Oyetunde. Oyetunde. I don't know whether it's Mr.
Yeah,
or Mrs.
it's
Oyetunde.
Mr.
Please
It's
ask your
Mr.
question.
Oyetunde Bankole, thank you. I'm sorry I came late onto this program, so I may have missed some points, but I thank you all for what we are discussing. There's no gainsaying in the fact that Baba Awolowo was the best we had, that we've ever had. We may not have something equal to him for years to come. But what I want us to look at this, I see a parallel between what's going on today, the nepotism that Buhari is playing, and what Zig did in those days. If you remember in those days, Baba Ayiloge, you will remember Ikinani, Ikejani, Iketani, right?
Yes.
Because Zig filled all the positions with his people, which is what Buhari is doing today. And that was what Akintola was out to fight.
Yes.
That look, people have themselves positions in all positions of power. What are we gaining? If we work with these people, maybe we'll get some of it. And let me tell you this. Sorry, sir, Baba, you will remember when Akintola was made Minister of Education. Do you remember how many Yoruba people got scholarship to go overseas, to go and study? Before that era, before Akindele's era, we will wake up in the morning, any day they are announcing people who got scholarship for overseas universities or even Nigerian universities. You barely find one Yoruba name. It will be like 200, 300 Igbos, Ikechuku, Nnamdi, and all those names on the list of Daily Times. I was very small then, but I used to read it. My brother and myself, we will sit down and read. We will go to the public library in town, and we'll go through this list. We'll find only Igbos that were given scholarship to go overseas to go read in Dublin. That's why you have all these Igbos all over. There was no Yoruba guy being sent out there. When Akindele became Minister of Education, the first scholarship program, it was almost all Yorubas. I think this is what we are saying. Nobody is saying Akintola is a saint or is not a saint. Awolowo is a saint or no. They were fighting for something for us, but the method was the difference. This is the only platform where I would find people speaking about Akintola and not painting him in a bad brush. Usually when they talk about Akintola, it's like a devil. No, that's not it. You see, what we don't have today is the selfless leadership, the integrity that those people had in those days. Awolowo did not do anything to plow money into his bank account. Akintola did not do anything to plow money into his bank account. You cannot compare these people with Tinubu. You cannot compare them with Oshibajo or whoever you have today. They are different. They operate on a very different level. These were honest people to the core. Go to Ogbomoso today. What do you have of Akintola? Just one building. That's all.
And thank you. Let's make it brief so we can give other people.
So yeah, he's making a good point.
Yeah, what I'm saying is, you see, I'm sorry, I'm saying it with passion because I'm from Ogbomoso and we've all been bastardized, because of Akintola. No, Akintola and Awolowo were fighting for the same thing for us. Akintola was fighting for Yorubas on a Yoruba level, but Awolowo was doing it on a national level. Right. Awolowo wants everybody to benefit. But Akintola say, okay, we want everybody to benefit, but look at what these people are doing. They won't let you benefit anything. Let's go and align with these people and get something. So that's what I'm going to, that's what I have to say, please.
Mr. Oyetunde.
Sir, Oyetunde
Bankole, let me say this. We didn't set up or set on to mouth Chief Akintola.
No, sir. I said this is the only place where I see him being.
It was because we recognize. Now, let me put it in perspective again. We recognize what you just said, and what had happened to us. Anyway, what we set up to do is this. We said these two giants, they define the earlier era of Yoruba politics. And so you've had some people who will go out there and say what Baba Akintola was trying to do was to say that we will cooperate with the Northerners and so we can benefit, just like you said. But what I'm now saying is that as of today, we've seen how the Awolowo era ended and his quest to actually, improve Nigeria. We saw how it ended. We've also seen that the Akintola's model was extended by those who were not in the mainstream of Yoruba politics, like those who went to the PDP or MPN. Now we are saying that, okay, you've been in the PDP, you've been in the MPN, you've even been in APC. But right now, in the last 6 years, they've been killing our people. They're killing our people so much so that the man who is the vice president, one step from the presidency, is there. And all he said about the killing is that there are killings all over the world. And so Yoruba killings are not an exception. These are the kind of rubbish that is coming out from these people. And we are saying that, now we are saying that because the Yoruba has submitted themselves to the enemy, what you're saying are known to us. It is the reason, the achievement we had in Yoruba states or in the Yoruba region that made us the envy of everybody, and they want to destroy us. We are the one who are going to say, no, enough already. We are not going to allow that. And another aspect is that what you now find is that the most, what can I say?
I have to mute everybody again because somebody was just making everything unmanageable. Thank you. You are back now.
The people who are being helped into power that you are looking at, they are not the best among us. While in those days you can have the Awolowos, the Akintolas, and the rest of them, today you have imbeciles who are actually after money and power. And they are supposed to be Yoruba leaders. Otherwise, how do you explain the fact that they are killing us everywhere and somebody says, oh, well, there are killings everywhere in the world, so Yoruba is not an exception. These are the kind of things. We are not here to badmouth anybody, except those who are currently there now. They are not performing. Everybody had a role. Let me tell you one of the things that I commend Chief Akintola for. The building of the University of Ife, the planning started when Awolowo was at the saddle as premier. The party took the decision and everybody. By the time the university was being built, it was Akintola that was there. And he followed everything to the letter. And the university started in 1962. Let me tell you what I have witnessed. In Yoruba land today, if your predecessor is starting something, you don't touch it. Let's start in Lagos. Fashola started the road from mile 2 or something through Badagry. They didn't touch it. The rail system, they didn't touch it because it was started by Fashola in Ondo State. Agagu, before Agagu was yanked out of power by the court, all the schools, he was building 6 classrooms in every school, in every primary schools in Ondo State. Mimiko didn't touch it. They were rotted. It was actually, it was on the verge of roofing it. Those things were destroyed. These things cost millions of dollars, but Akintola went through all that. It was a very, very, very good party man. He didn't, because of all these things. There are so many things, good things to be said of Chief Akintola, just as we are saying of Chief Awolowo. And that is why we are sitting here today and saying, listen, those were the golden era of Yoruba politics. Disagreement might be there, but you do your best. No matter the shortcomings of both of them, we now know that their achievements, cannot be matched by all of the people in Yoruba land put together today that are in power or that are in political life, from the local government to the vice president.
Okay.
Let me take more questions.
Shola,
Baba, yes.
Àwọn nǹkan wà tí mi ò fẹ́ gbàgbé.
Okay, sir, go ahead.
The Yoruba never surrendered themselves to anybody. You just have to look at the dates of events. October 11, 1965, we had the last election in Western region. 3 months later, we had a military coup. From January 15 of 1966 till now, the Yoruba have never had a voice as to where they want to go. Decree number 34 rubbished the existence of Western Nigeria. That was in March or April of 1966. When Yakubu Gowon got there in July 1966 or August 1966, whichever one you choose, he co-opted. He didn't throw away the unification decree. He used it. Gowon remained in office, or the military remained in office until 1979. They removed the parliamentary system where the people were accountable or answerable to the people that elected them. They replaced it with a presidential system without consultation with anybody. That's how Obasanjo became president. Obasanjo was the first executive president of Nigeria in terms of being elected, so to speak, in a constitution that was presidential. We cannot forget that. Who has Yoruba's opinion about anything on that? Well, if you ask for our opinion, it didn't matter. We voted for Falaye because we thought Falaye would be able to manage such a system in a way that benefited everybody. But no, Obasanjo was declared winner because he was going to minister to the needs of the Fulani oligarchy. We did not surrender. We just acquiesced because we had no choice. We must choose I know I'm not very good in English, but I'm very careful to make sure that we do not confuse one English word with another because they have deeper meaning. Now, what autonomy have we had since 1979? In 1983, on December 31, they declared Shagari government over. First of all, they put Shagari in office without I think I confused it. They put Shagari in office in 1979 in place of Awolowo, not obeying their own two-thirds rule. Then they removed him. Then we went through these years until 1999 when Obasanjo took over. Where did we ask for our opinion? Where did we surrender? We acquiesced because the man with the gun is the majority. Let's be careful not to bastardize our people. Because somebody will remove your kneecap and then challenge you to 100 years race and say, nani, nani, boo, boo, you cannot run. That is not what we should be blaming ourselves about. Look, let's educate our youth. You invited them. Let's educate them with the truth as they happened, not with the illusion of somebody's right and somebody's wrong. We are working with a very bad structure that was put in place in 1914 and reinforced by the actors based upon what they needed or what they didn't need. Only bad government that this thing allowed. That's what we are working with. And if we had one or two people who wanted it differently, they were submerged. If I'm saying something wrong, I want to be contradicted.
Thank you, Baba Adeboye. Let me take more questions so we can.
Can I just add a quick question? We also have to be mindful, even though during the times that some Yoruba have cooperated with the North, what has Yoruba gained from it?
Nothing.
Dating back to the previous many administrations, when we look at all the institutions in that country, have we ever asked ourselves, why are all these vital institutions cited in the North? Even while we have a president, there is always, when Obasanjo was there, even in 1976, when he became the head of state and the two-term president, executive president, there is always this underlying pressure that Northern oligarchy found a way to impress it on them. The same thing with Jonathan, that they could not even do what they're supposed to do, even in their localities. Why? That particular aspect will have to be examined. So this idea of whether we are cooperating with the North or whether we subsume our right, it has not benefited us and it will never will, regardless of who is the president, except from the North.
Thank you, sir. I like that submission. Alagbatunde Apelogun, you are on, sir.
Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you. I have listened very attentively to our elders here. Try to compare Awolowo and Akintola. I discovered that each time that we are looking for good leadership, we tend to go back to Awolowo. Awolowo did so many things, like you said.
What's your question, sir? We are taking
like free education and then hospital. What did Akintola do? What did Akintola do in his own time, apart from being a nuisance and a thorn in the flesh of Awolowo?
Mr. Pelogun, we are not here to judge them or disrespect the dead. Yoruba Gbode will not do that because it's not cultural. So if you don't have any other question, I think I'm going to go to the next person.
He didn't have I've just asked my question. You don't even
okay,
listen
then
to
go
it.
To the question.
I have asked the question. I said, what did Akintola do?
Don't worry. We are
talking about it. Let me answer that. Let me answer that.
Okay.
There was, if you listen to what I said, and I don't think there was much contradiction of it, it's not what Akintola did or didn't do. Because whatever Akintola did or didn't do was based upon a conceptual framework that cannot be rubbished. I gave the reason why Akintola had to take a position that Yoruba must participate in the governance of Nigeria, that we must align ourselves with the North so that we can participate. It was obvious between 1954 and 1959 that we were losers if we didn't participate. It was even more obvious after 1959 that the governing structure, those who went to school could be Minister of Education, Minister of this, Minister of that, and the scholarship programs were cornered by the alliance of the NCNC and NPC, of which Yoruba was largely absent. So there is no reason why Akintola couldn't say, Tiwada, because most of the resources that were being used to run federal government were coming from the South. Well, much of it was coming from Southwest, what we now call Southwest. Actually, Otolento Begunu, Otolento Gowe. No, Akintola was right.
Baba Adeboye.
Let me finish.
Awolowo did free education, free hospital.
Baba,
What did Akintola do?
Don't give the credit for free education, free hospital to Akintola. It wasn't there. Akintola was in the action group, but free education, free hospital, and all of that were action group programs that started the campaign for it in 1951. They implemented in January 17, 1955.
Right.
So Awolowo was still in office until December of 1959. I'm not taking credit away from Akintola, but we do not have to pile on credit that historically are not there. And I'm not giving all the infinite credit to Awolowo, except that Awolowo's conceptual framework and Akintola's conceptual framework were both the things that guided them, and what guided them is not what is right or wrong, it's the foundation of their belief. We can have 2020 vision of hindsight now and start saying, I wish we go this way. I'm the one, and I have to be very careful how I say this because I know that Chief Awolowo's daughter is on. I'm the one who held it against Awolowo for the longest time that he left Western region to go to the center.
I remember you were opposed to
I didn't see why he should, quote and unquote, abandon us. But I grew up and realized that the conceptual framework from which he was working, Ireti Obakari, Kisheregidi, Olowo kan Otoshi Medogbon, so he decided that whatever he was able to do in Western region, he needed to hand over to others so he can go and
fighting for the Talakawas. Yes.
So I think we should forgive, because we are not perfect. We don't have that hindsight. I mean, my father was an NCNC man. I was an action group child in the NCNC household. So what did anybody know? Other than
your house.
Eh? Well, seriously, let us learn from the past and design a future that will make all of us happy. Don't over-blame, don't over-criticize. No. Just learn a lesson, because I learned, and as I said at the beginning, the only fault, the major fault of Awolowo and Akintola is that they weren't born in Gbode to help me grow.
No, what we are going to do, there are some children will be born in Gbode and they will be named Awolowo, and another one will be named Akintola.
Shola.
Yes, Mr. Adetuji, hold on 1 second.
We must emphasize to those who are going to comment or ask questions that the primary focus of this segment is not to apportion blames, to praise someone. So we are saying, we are recognizing both of them as, laying the foundation for the politics of today.
Yes.
And we are saying, we are not even saying which one is better. We are saying that we have tried both.
We are learning.
Huh?
We are learning from them.
Right, we're learning from them. We've tried, the last one to be tried is the Akintola doctrine of going to the center now. And things are even worse off. That's the primary focus of this segment of Yoruba Gbode. Not what does this guy do? If you don't have any contribution towards this, think about today. What can we do to extricate ourselves from the mess that we are in today? That is all I'm going to say.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. Alagba Adetuji, you are next. Alagba Adetuji.
Yes, sir. Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, they're all good.
Alagba Adetuji.
Yes, ma'am. Mo wà ń bẹ̀.
Wàá mú kan lára ṣẹ́ẹ̀tì mi ń bí Tẹ́wọ́lógún.
Ṣé ètò ẹlòkù níjà rẹ̀? Àwọn Fúlàní ló máa fojú rí ìjà rẹ̀, ẹ̀yin náà mọ̀. You know, màálù tán bá kó lọ jẹ gbogbo oko yín, ẹ̀yin máa rí ìnáwó kò sí kan tẹ́ máa ṣe.
Wọ́n máa ní lọ́jà rẹ̀ mọ́, wọ́n máa ti teach one lesson.
Kò mọ nǹkan kan. Ìwọ gan tó sọ̀rọ̀ mẹ́rin tí bá ní kó gbàgbé nǹkan tó fẹ́ bi wá ò ní rántí mọ́.
Àlàyé.
Don't forget that Dr. Falajogu is here and is also from Ijare. So what's your question, sir?
The other time, I said, come on, the other time, ẹni ká máa búyàn, èmi dẹ̀ jẹ́ ará Ìbàdàn. Wọ́n sọ pé bó bú mi, ìjà Ìbàdàn ní kí ni nǹkan ó ṣẹlẹ̀. Bó bú mi, nǹkan kan ṣẹlẹ̀. Tó kúkú wá bú mi kí ṣe gbọ́ mi ò sọ débẹ̀ yẹn o.
Nítorí pé wọ́n sọ pé lẹ́yìn Akíndídé àti Akínlóye Akíndédèrè ló kù.
Akíndédèrè ló kù.
Ṣẹ́gbọ́n tí wọ́n wí.
Ó ní mo fẹ́ sọ pé ẹ lè sọ báyẹn o, but igi mú jìnnà sórí ìlú ọgbọ́dọ̀ pé. Tá a bá bẹ̀rẹ̀ látàgbé ni ìjà rẹ̀ ò síbi kankan mọ́ o. Síbi kankan mọ́ o.
Dr. Tẹ́wọ́lógún gbọ́ yín o.
Mo dúpẹ́, I'm very thankful for all the accolade that has been given to the two nationalists, patriotic Yoruba nationalists. I'm so glad that many records were put straight, especially to Baba SLA Akintola. Is very good. And in those days when I was schooling in Ado-Ekiti, I used to go to Ogbomoso where my junior sister was schooling, and I saw so many things, and many of those things were put straight today. I'm so glad. With all these things that were said, please, I have one question, and that question, I don't think any other person will be able to ask another question at the end of this question. With all the things that has been going on now, the Yorubas are being mauled, are being killed, are being ostracized, are being covered in several places, Lagos, Ogun, everywhere. The Fulanis are bringing their people in, waiting for that election that we're going to do for referendum for Yoruba nation. The Hausas the Fulani are bringing their people in thousands. Now, what they did, and I hope some of you saw this thing that happened to one Mr. Babalola, who went from Germany to Nigeria in a Turkey airline and was almost killed because of his lost luggage. And he said it one there that somebody told him that the Yoruba technocrats, politicians, professors, and think tanks are being targeted for killing in Nigeria if they come into Nigeria. That is in Nigeria. There is no proof to say they are not coming outside Nigeria to commit all these atrocities. Let us look at what Buhari did during the time of Umaru Diko. He countered Britain and took Umaru Diko out. This time, he countered Britain and took a British citizen of Kanu out and took him to Abuja, and they are still there. Britain cannot talk. But now, are we saying that Yoruba people cannot do anything? Has no people in high places, has no ex-ambassadors, has no ex-generals who can speak for us, either in United Nations or as Olugbeja, and even in Bagan, and even in Abeokuta, in Eko, and even when people like Baba Tinubu is silenced they say, oh, we gave you all the money you had. If we try you, we're going to put you in jail forever. And he stopped. He got silenced. And Obasanjo too was silenced, although he works underground. Or I mean, I can't say that.
Okay.
However,
let them answer the question. You push the question forward.
Yeah, don't we have people?
Okay.
Baba,
why are they not helping the people that we are?
Okay, where are we? Where are we? Where are we? I'll take care of you later.
Hello.
Yes,
okay,
sir.
Baba Denina, do you want to start?
Ó wà lórí platform. Photo ẹ̀ wà ńbẹ̀. Photo ẹ̀ wà ńbẹ̀. Hello.
Please, let's move on.
Well, I thought Baba Denina was trying to answer your questions.
Well, tẹ́ bá fún mi láyè.
Go ahead, we were waiting for you.
Yes. Honorable Atewologun. Ṣé ń gbọ́ mi?
Dáadáa.
Ẹyẹ bú ìjà rẹ o, Olúwajá náà wà ń bẹ̀ yẹn o.
Okay, sir.
Now, let me be serious. As I said earlier on, we are learning. We are learning, and we are learning very slowly. But hopefully, we are learning thoroughly. Hopefully. Ẹkùn ní dààmú Ọlọ́run tó wò. Ọlọ́run tó wò ìṣàjákájá. Yes. Today, in the spirit of rapprochement with other people, there is something that they have founded. It's not like I know a whole lot about it, but it exists. And I have people in India that talk to me and consult with me about what's going on. Ìlànà ọmọ Oòduà. It is in league with the people of the Middle Belt, people of the East, people of the South, and so on, seeking a rapprochement that will ease the problems that we are confronting. How well are they doing? I cannot beat my chest. But I know it is a departure from what we have done before. And it is being championed and or led by no less a person than an apostle of Awolowo, namely Banji, not Ayiloge, Banji Akintoye. So that's why I said we are learning slowly, hopefully thoroughly, but we are not the Yoruba of 2021, believe it or not. It's not the Yoruba of 2019. Ojutinla. Now, that may not be a whole lot of consolation.
It's too slow.
But thank God we are not where we were. We are not necessarily where we want to be, but thank God we are not where we were 2 years ago. So I want us to work together to speed up our learning process. I don't want us to soritinu, because when our learning gets to the stage where we decide that we are too important to disappear, something will be done. There is somebody tó máa ń sọ báyìí wípé tí ìgbẹ́ bá ń bọ̀ ìdí á lanu, and I want you to believe that, because I do.
So we're going to get there.
Let me put in one word there. Professor Adeboye, I think I would disagree with you slightly about the learning process. We are not, there are two groups of people in Nigeria. Those ordinary folks who are bearing the brunt of this discrimination and killings and all that are learning first. They are learning. But those elected officials in position of authority, whose probably their speeches or their statements will have some weight, are not learning. There is only one governor in Nigeria that I think is on the receiving end of the Fulani brutality and domination, and that is Governor Otto. He is speaking out. He has learned. He remembered history of Fulani, first Fulani incursion of their territory, the Benue. It wasn't pleasant. He is talking. That's the only governor that I can say, if you have been watching his statements, his interviews, he is learning. He remembered history. But unfortunate for us in the South and for those elected Yoruba officials, I don't think that they clearly understand the enormity of the problems that Yoruba people are facing in Nigeria.
Yeah,
so that's
Okay,
why
Ejeki, so 2 sentences. Number one, just before you contribute, Honorable Kishiku, I do not disagree with you at all.
Oh, correct.
When I say we are learning, I'm talking about the Yoruba people. I'm not talking about the elected dealers. There is a difference between a dealer and a leader. The ones that you are using to judge us are mostly dealers, but they are not a majority of our people. They are not even a majority of our thinkers.
But
so whether they are part of the battle on our side or they are part of the battle against our side, time will tell. Now, Dr. Adetunji.
Ẹjọ́ máa má bínú mà, nǹkan tí mo fẹ́ sọ ó wà very vital. Ẹ sọ nǹkan kan pé tí ìgbẹ́ bá ń bọ̀, pé ìdí á lanu. Ṣèbí ìdí tó bá lè lanu nìyẹn, ìdí tán bá ti rán, ìgbẹ́ ò lè jáde ńbẹ̀. Ẹni yẹn máa kú lórí ẹ̀ ni. Ẹni yẹn máa kú lórí ẹ̀ ni. Ẹjọ́ sà, ẹ ní sùúrù sà. Ńgbà tí àwọn kan lọ sí Russia, tí wọ́n lọ go against Yorùbá, táwọn kan lọ sí London, tán lọ bá British Prime Minister ẹ pé look, leave the Yoruba people alone, we will take care of them. They will never see the light of the day. Táwọn kan lọ sí US, tán propagate all these false things against the Yorubas, and the Yoruba cannot defend themselves. We have majors, we have generals, Bernard Kinide is there, all those generals are there, ambassadors are there, Bolaji Akiyemi was there, and so many other people were there. They cannot actually bring their own cloths together and say, come, this is how we're going to fight this war. Let's go to Russia and tell the Russian people. So, Teba said for me, how do we go from Pythagoras theorems to coordinate sections? How can we go from that area to all other opaque systems? And how do we go from all this, Baba, when we cannot actually complete Pythagoras theorem? You cannot go to coordinate system.
Well, let me try to.
Yes, okay.
And sadly, this is a new reality that we need to actually acknowledge.
Louder.
This is a new reality that we must acknowledge. I want to those who are going to Russia and all the other places are going on the using Nigerian money.
Yes.
Now, before 1999, the Yorubas fairly, even though the people were arguing that we were not on in the main political stream during the hour, but our businesses were going, people were well off. Their own job is the title and could thrive on their own. But they destroyed the economy so much so that most of those private enterprises are no longer there. Then, two, is the fact that to thrive at all, you must be doing something within the government circle. Either patronage from the government or you are co-opted into government. Now, what has happened to the Yoruba is that once the Yoruba had a go at the national level with Obasanjo supposedly, but Obasanjo was not the Yoruba man at that time. I'm not even going to comment on those who think Obasanjo is an Igbo. No, that's not what I'm saying. Obasanjo's tribe is the military. The military tribe, let's even say that. And he believes that as long as he says, I'm a Nigerian, I'm not a Yoruba man, and they believe him. Babangida was giving an interview recently at his 88th birthday. He said, one thing I know about Obasanjo is more Nigerian than anybody. So much so that when Obasanjo got into power, the Igbos were the people who were actually given the leg up in businesses, in appointments, and all that. People like Soludo, people like Okeke, and people, there are a whole lot of them. Name one or two Yorubas who, the only Yoruba that you can think of was Afolabi, who he actually helped into jail. And then you look at that, during that time, enormous money was made in 8 years. The Yoruba were outside looking. Nothing was developed. Even the Lagos-Ibadan Expressway was abandoned. He actually concessioned it to one of his cronies and never did anything.
Abeokuta Road, where
Abeokuta Road. When you look at all this, we started failing from there. And then when Jonathan...
Can some of us also ask questions? Because I've had
let's finish one, then you can ask questions.
Who is that?
Well, I mean, you know, the important question that was asked was by somebody called Adetunji, and I haven't had any good answer to that very important question.
Thank you,
about
sir.
What is our political leadership is doing.
Never got a
That is the most important question, and everything else is just froth. And what we need to do, we need to find a way to boycott our so-called political leadership in Yoruba land and do things ourselves. These people are useless. And most of the people who are my age or older than I am have also shown themselves to be useless. People cannot be dying the way they are dying, the way they are being killed. Fulanis cannot be brought to Yoruba land in trucks and armored vehicles brought down in trucks, and nobody says anything.
Yeah, it's the leadership.
Ogun State people are now in Benin Republic. Nobody says anything. Yeah. What the hell are they? I mean, are these people bastards or are they Yoruba children? Do they have any Yoruba blood in them?
But,
this is very important.
What is the solution?
We've been saying all that. We've been saying that here.
Sorry,
but actually,
can I just finish? I think Adetunji, I'm sorry, I don't know his name, but I've seen that his name is Adetunji. This is the most important question for us to answer. Where do we go from here?
Anyway,
thank you, sir.
We cannot rely just on Professor Akitoye alone. He's 95 or something like that. Where is everybody else?
No, it's not 95.
87.
Akitoye is 86.
87, yes.
Well, I mean, you know, it's and I'm not young either. Most of us that are talking, as I can see, I guess we're not young either.
I'm young.
What is, well, I mean, I'm not young, but the question is, what are we doing? And we need to stop all this fluff, all this nonsense. We really need to say, this is what we are going to do as Yoruba people. We need to stop all this fluff.
Well, this is not. Let me say this. This is not the forum to say this is what we are going to do.
Yes.
This is not where we are going to say. What are we going to say? We are going.
Yeah, but the problem is that the people out there who are the people out there who are suffering, they need to know what you are doing. You can't just simply say we are doing something.
Excuse me. There are more. We keep on saying that there are more than a score organizations in the U.S. that are meeting every day. Yoruba organizations. This is a media outfit that is highlighting what is going on. After you finish, you can now try to do. We are not. This program is actually transmitted live on Facebook and some other media. It's not just on here. To now say that, well, tomorrow this is what we are going to do. We are just telling the enemy our plan. That's what we are
And
saying.
I can tell you, there are some Fulani children sent to this forum too.
So it's not actually the question I was answering before was actually Adetunji's same notorious Adetunji's question. You were the one that was asking me about why our people have not been able to go out and match the propaganda being put out there by the government. And I'm saying that, am I the one that do I have the money and the wherewithal to match the government to go and stay in Russia until I see Putin and then go to the Whitehall in Britain? Most of the people you are mentioning, retired military officers and all that, don't have, the personal wealth to be able to do that. That's number one. And that is why we are saying that what needs to be done is to have a varied organization, an organization that will be able to, raise funds. But none of these things come out cheap. From what I've been talking to some of our people privately, there must be an arm devoted, to raising money and using the money for diplomatic reasons. There must be others that will, concentrate on security and all the others. And we are not going to come here and say, this is what we did yesterday. Otherwise, we will be giving our people out to the Fulani don't go out there. The Mayor Tiala don't go out there and come on the internet and say, this is what we are going to do to the Yorubas tomorrow. So on that basis, let us try to gather ourselves together, organize like never before.
Okay, thank you, sir.
If you don't mind, if I may
please, because if we make it controversial, we are just going to be going back and forth. The fact of the case is this is a media outlet. And from there, we use Yoruba Gbode as a bridge to walk to other people who are doing other things. But my people will say, work are going on, people are doing things. And anybody who is interested, call me, as long as you don't speak Fufude, then I'm going to be able to answer your question and direct you to the direct line. But we are just here on Yoruba Gbode. We are discussing. It's a media outlet where we discuss and see what we're supposed to do. I appreciate Alagba Adetunji Atewologun's question, thought-provoking question as usual. And I'm going to call Baba Benjamin Esna to ask a question.
Thank you, Chola. My question has been asked. For remembering me. Any day I come here, they remember me last. But I thank you, because I made the correction that Akitoye was a year my senior at Christ School, but he's about a month older than myself. So we're born 1935. Mine was March.
She 95 will be mine.
Oh, no, the motion correct. Yeah.
Okay.
We are only 86. We are not 90. And again,
the question for Wama Baba.
The question I have is this. During Akitola and Awolowo's regime, it was a Westminster system. Here we are talking about presidential system. And the presidential system, we want us to copy the Israeli system. We should divide into three: the thinking group, the fighting group, and the people propaganda. We should. I think this one is a propaganda one, because me too, I'm working on underground, which I cannot tell people. For my, we are securing our borders in Ekiti, because it's the most porous now for these bandits. So I will just say that we should have a think tank group that will connect the fighters, the thinkers, and the publicists. So
yes, there are groups like that, Baba. People are working hard.
That would be very good. If I know your number.
Yeah, your Gbode number. I'm going to paste it again. We always have it. So now the last question that I'm going to ask, and I want Baba Adeniran, Baba Adeboye, Baba Nji to give me a short clip or answers to this question. Now, Tinubu single-handedly, or with some other people, they put the Northwest and Southwest together. A lot of people have said Tinubu did it for selfish reason. He said he didn't. Now things are emerging, things are evolving. Tinubu expects support. He expects to be paid back. What do you think will happen? What can you project? What do you think will happen? I'm talking about 2023 or no, Yoruba nation or no. I'm going to start with Baba Banji Ayiloge.
Well, number one, like I've always taken the position in politics that things happen and that are entirely beyond your power, but if it is to your advantage, you take credit for it, and then take. Now let me put this: let us imagine the political situation in the country before 2015, during Jonathan, when Jonathan was there. The Yorubas were up in arms. That's why I said, either way you go, most of the people we were lumped together in a country, they all hate the Yorubas. They hate our development. They hate everything. Not the less, they ape us. They hate our mode of dressing. Even Owambe now, they dance to Owambe. Our fefferity is all over, but they hate the fact that Yoruba will come to power. And during Jonathan, remember that it was we Yorubas who spearheaded, fighting for him to be made the acting president. We started.
Yes.
And then when he eventually emerged, actually, Jonathan pumped more money and did more money to the north than anything.
Mm.
The Yorubas were not in his government.
So we are belly diners.
People. It's hard for people to imagine all this now because our people forget things. So the Yorubas were primed to look for something else. By the time 2015 came, they were primed. What kind of thing is this?
2019.
So listen to this, sir. When this was going on, everybody in the country knew that Yorubas were restless. They wanted the change. But they didn't count on the kind of change that came later. But they wanted somebody, everybody said, anybody else but Jonathan, because apart from excluding us, you can have people from the South were squandering money. Corruption was at a level never seen until then. So the Yoruba said, look, anybody but him. And here is Bola Tinubu looking for a winning formula to advance his own career. He saw the way the Northerners were following Buhari religiously. You can, as a politician, see that crowd and not try to do something with it. And the only problem Buhari had, like I confessed the other time, before his time, I was a member of his party. He created the CPC. We wanted to make the CPC a national party where we can lessen corruption and do something else. And we were thinking Buhari was going to run as a nationalist. And he said he was born again Democrat. He was going to be this and that. Until in 2011, I got fed up. I resigned from the party. So when he came in 2015, Bola Tinubu saw an opportunity. He wanted to be the vice chairman. I mean, the vice president.
So what are we looking at now, Baba?
And now, after that failed, he quickly, said, well, I will try next time. Now he's trying to be president. Because if he was the vice president, the natural progression is that being from another region, it will be time for him to be president. But then he put a surrogate whom he thought could never, like I said, they are cousins. He knew that this guy, as long as he says he's running, the other guy is not going to rock the boat. He put him there. Now is his time. But unfortunately for him, there are also other things. The man there now had actually destroyed the concept of Nigeria being together. Why? Because nobody, not even Babangida, not even any of these people could have done what through his lack of skills is doing. Others will do something. When people cry, they halt it and do all that. But Buhari doesn't seem to care. He wanted to transform Nigeria to being a Fulani state where they will take over. He wanted to be the one to fulfill the dream, the so-called dream of Madam Fodi. And now, rather than our own people standing up, at least talk, they all keep quiet. And keeping quiet means they are acquainted to what is going on. If you don't acquaint to this, what would have stopped Bola Tinubu and say, "What for God's sake? Why would anybody be trucking all the people from North Africa? I mean, from West Africa, and then with just the shirt on their back to our region? They don't come in to rent houses. They stay in the jungle. Crime is rife. Why would anybody at least come out and condemn that? They are keeping quiet. At the time Baba Fashion's daughter was killed, Kunubu was quoted as saying that did you see anywhere that
the cows?
A hard man will kill somebody without a cow? Where is the cow? Some of these comments are insensitive. And people are beginning to think that you want to be president at all costs, damning whatever it is that happens to the region, and we are not going to allow that. Every right-thinking Yoruba person should get up and say no. Now, people are saying there will be no election in 2023. Yeah, well, that's what some people are saying. That either you make it, I don't know what formula they are going to use, but if these other people are bent on having an election, they better come one with a plan to make sure that it doesn't hold especially in the southwest and southeast and south. If the southerners, were able to stop anybody from having the election, let them have the election and have that will actually quicken the whole process. So let Bola Tinubu and his people trying to go out there for their own reason. Like somebody said the other, I've never seen something like this before. What is in the Nigerian presidency? If you're really sure of yourself and you want to come home, when we liberate ourselves, run for the presidency of the Odua State or Yoruba Nation, as we call them. President is president.
Thank you, sir. I'm still going to call Baba Akishiku and Baba Adeboye to round up. But I saw that Mr. Emmanuel, who has been raising up his hand, and I don't want to just half of a minute, or mute yourself. Half of a minute, okay.
Excellent. Thank you so much. My name is Emmanuel Oyelola. I'm from Columbia, Missouri. I think I've met Baba Adeboye several times during the Sokan Yoruba. We met in Chicago. We met in Atlanta.
It's all over the place. Go ahead.
I respect him a lot. I know during the Kudirat thing, all kind of thing like that. My question is, the reason why I joined today was because my wife was telling me they are going to talk about Awolowo and Akintola. And for God so good, somebody here today have asked the same question that most of the journalists have been writing about Akintola. When a politician does something wrong, they say, oh, that's another Akintola. When it's another traitor, all kind of thing like that. So those are the things I was expecting that the panel here will elucidate those people that we are not as bad as they think we are. Even during the bad day, my father was a cocoa farmer at Ife, and our farm was burnt because we were from Ogbomoso. And down where my wife graduated from school, she wanted to teach. They have to course before they got appointment that Biya say the Baba one, Benny, Yaje, Biya say the Bata, the Baba one, you want Badibo Fun, Awolowo. So this is what I want us to be telling those people, that we have moved forward past all those times. Even during the time of the death of Mrs. Akintola, it was Awolowo's song in the front of the coffin. So we have moved away from that. We are not traitor, because most of the things they were talking about was after Akintola had been rejected from the action group. So those are the things they know. They did not know when Akintola used to campaign for AG in Ogbomoso, and AG will win all the constituencies and many, many other regions. So many people write, I always reply them, but this is what people should have been telling those new generation, because it's what they had. They said Akintola cut cocoa prices, all kind of things like that. So, we in Ogbomoso, we don't care anywhere we come from, Yoruba land. That is why we are the one who marry people from outside our town more than anybody else in Yoruba land. So please, whenever you get to your meeting, talk to people, let them know. Ìjàlódé lórí dòwe ló fi fà during those days tó fi di pé àwọn méjèèjì Awolowo go with the NCNC, Akintola went with the people in the north. So that's all I want to say.
5 winners to 13.
Anyway,
We really appreciate you, sir. Alàgbà Emmanuel.
Yeah.
Mr. Emmanuel.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Mo ti wà látàárọ̀ ni.
Ẹ máa gbọ́ tẹ́ ẹ bá tiẹ̀ bá wa bẹ̀rẹ̀ ẹ lè lọ sórí YouTube and go and listen from the beginning. Kò sẹ́ni tó sọ̀rọ̀ Akíntọ́lá láìda. We look at both of them as our father. In fact, mo sọ ń bí ilé ní pé bàbá yẹn follow through gbogbo University of Ife.
Bẹ́ẹ̀ni, ó kọ́
Tí kò yọ nǹkan kan kúrò ń bẹ̀. Gbogbo bọ́n ṣe ṣe. Look, tẹ́ni tí ò mọ̀, the last time tí mo sọ̀rọ̀ bàbá Akíntọ́lá ń bí. In 1958, wọ́n wá sí Ìjàrẹ́, wọ́n wá campaign. I was sitting about 2 or 3 persons away from him because my father was at the local leadership of Action Group. Àwọn náà Action Group ni wọ́n.
Bẹ́ẹ̀ni.
Wọ́n dẹ̀ wá bẹ̀rẹ̀ kínní yẹn, mo ti sọ́rí ní Yorùbá Gbode, but torí ti yín, mo fẹ́ kẹ́ ẹ mú dání, mi ò mọ̀ bẹ́ẹ̀ yín gan ṣe dàgbà tó, so that ẹ tún máa sọ. Wọ́n ní èmi kòró, èmi kàrá. Ṣé bàbá ṣe ń sọ̀rọ̀ nìyẹn? Wọ́n ti ń ká. Èmi kòró, èmi kàrá, èmi tí ń gbé mi mo dé. Wọ́n ní bọ́ ṣe bẹ̀rẹ̀ nìyẹn. Wọ́n á dà nígbà kan wà láyé àtijọ́. Ipe ìyàn mú ní gbogbo agbègbè ìlú kan. Ṣùgbọ́n ìlú kan wà tó jẹ́ pé wọ́n ti ń wọ́n mọ̀ wípé bí nǹkan ṣe nígbà tí òjò ń rọ̀, wọ́n ti tọ́jú oúnjẹ, wọ́n ti ní silo tán ti kó oúnjẹ síbẹ̀. Wọ́n mọ̀ wípé ìgbà kan ń bọ̀ tí ìyàn máa mú. Ó ní wọ́n lóúnjẹ bẹ̀tí gbogbo àwọn ìlú tó wà lágbègbè ò ní. Ṣùgbọ́n tó bá ti dalẹ́ táwọn tó níyẹn tán bá ti jẹ tán gúnyán tán ní kán máa jẹun báyìí, àwọn kan wọ́n á fi ìkó wọ́n á fi bojú. Wọ́n á yọ sí wọn. Wọ́n á bẹ̀ sí kọrin pé èmi kòró, èmi kàrá, èmi mi tí gbé mi dé. Gbogbo àwọn ará ìlú á fóúnjẹ lẹ̀, wọ́n á sá lọ. Àwọn èèyàn á sì gbóúnjẹ wọn. Ó ní wọ́n á sì gbóúnjẹ, wọ́n á jẹun, wọ́n á mú ìkó kúrò lójú wọn, wọ́n á jẹun dáadáa. Tó bá ti jẹun tán, wọ́n á kó yòókù lọlé fún ìyàwó àtọmọ wọn. Àwọn ará ìlú wá ń rù bíi pé kò sóúnjẹ, oúnjẹ dẹ̀ wá ń lù.
Ṣùgbọ́n kòró àti kàrá ló ń jẹ.
Àwọn kòró àti kàrá wọn ò jẹ́ kán rí nǹkan jẹ. Ó nígbà tó wá dijọ́ yìí, ó lọ ọmọ kékeré kan. Kò sọ fún yàn kankan, ó yá asá pamọ́ nínú abà, ó kó nǹkan lérí síbẹ̀. Àwọn kòró tún ti dé pé èmi kòró, èmi kàrá, èmi mi tí ń gbé mi mo dé. Gbogbo àwọn èèyàn tún sábò lọ yàgò fún mi. Ó ní ọmọ yẹn dúró bẹ́ẹ̀. Ó nígbà táwọn ẹ̀ dé tán sí ìkojú wọn ni ọmọ yẹn wá wo pé
èèyàn bíi tiwa ní kò ń ṣe kòró àti kàrá.
Àwọn ò ń ṣe kòró, wọ́n ń ṣe kàrá. Olóró ra dúró bẹ́ẹ̀. Nígbà táwọn ẹ̀ jẹun tán kó ń jẹ lọ. Táwọn èèyàn wá dé. Táwọn èèyàn padà dé lábà. Olówó sọ fáwọn ẹ̀ pé àwọn tán pera wọn ní kòró àwọn kàrá, àwọn other villagers àwọn tó wà neighboring village mà ní kòró.
Ẹ dákun ẹ unmute ara yín alàgbà Ayílóge. Nìkan ló
fẹ́ ṣe. Ṣé ẹ gbọ́ mi? Ó ní bẹ́ẹ̀ ni àwọn ará ìlú báwọn ẹ̀ tún ṣe ń bọ̀ tó ní àwọn kòró àwọn ará ìlú náà fara pa, wọ́n fara pẹ́ síbi, wọ́n hide, wọn ò sá lọ mọ́. Ó ní báwọn ẹ̀ ṣe ṣí ojú wọn náà rí pé àwọn èèyàn rí tán wá mú wọn ìgbẹ́ ẹ̀yìn lẹ̀ ń dá kinní lẹ̀ tán ṣáà. Ó ní irú ọmọ akíkanjú bẹ́ẹ̀ yẹn irú ẹ̀ Awólọ́wọ̀ jẹ́. Ó ní irú ọmọ tó dúró tó solve problem ìlú yẹn tó dúró tó já kíkanjú tí ò sá lọ. Ó ní irú ọmọ bẹ́ẹ̀ Awólọ́wọ̀ jẹ́. That was 1958, towards the 1959 election. That was of the president. You see, lóòótọ́ ni ìjà ló dé tó rí dòwe. That is why nígbà tán sọ̀rọ̀ yìí tá à ń plan show yìí ọ̀rọ̀ pé ẹ̀jẹ̀ wa sọ̀rọ̀ Akíntọ́lá ni làkọ́ fi bẹ̀rẹ̀ lọ́wọ́ pé ẹ lè sọ̀rọ̀ Akíntọ́lá tóbi pé kẹ́ sọ some of the lingering legacy àwọn méjèèjì ní politics kì í ṣe legacy pé development làwa sọ lé níbẹ̀ kò sí bó ṣe ń sọ kí níyàn ìtàn ní sọ gbogbo àwọn nǹkan kan.
Ẹni tó dènà fún ni kárù nírú wọn àwọn tó pè lọ́kùnrin.
Yes, so àwọn míì wà tó jẹ́ pé tó bá kàn ti gbá Akíntọ́lá ọ̀nà ó depend but àwa you see the more enlightened the more some of us are political scholars. We can look at this. Àwa wò wípé look gbogbo nǹkan tí mò ń sọ lẹ́ẹ̀kan yẹn wípé àwọn tó join NPN that was years after Akíntọ́lá ti kú wọ́n ní àwa náà fẹ́ reach out tẹ́bí Akíntọ́lá ti ní ká reach out sí center. Ṣé o ti yẹ bẹ́ẹ̀ a great man ló lè ní lingering kíní bẹ́ẹ̀ yẹn kì í ṣe pé kì í ṣe pé bóyá èèyàn kan ti sọ̀rọ̀ lẹ́ni ó ní gbogbo ibi tó ń lọ tó bá ti ń sọ̀rọ̀ Akíntọ́lá wọ́n máa ń bú àwọn tó wà ń bẹ̀ ó ní bíi nìkan lòun wá tó yẹ pé kò rí bẹ́ẹ̀. So ẹ̀yin Ògbómọ̀ṣọ́ Mr. Emmanuel ṣe ìwà ń bẹ̀ tó bá jẹ́ pé ìwà ń bẹ̀ máa gbọ́ mi ó ti ẹ̀wù ká ní mo rẹ́ni tó lè bá mi kọrú làtẹ́kọ̀ ìgbọ̀n èmi gan ní kan kọrú làyẹ fún mi tó tẹ̀lé torí affit mi.
Èmi lè bá yín kọ́.
Èmi ò ti dàgbà jù.
Ẹ ò dàgbà jù.
Àdàgbà kọ́nà. Ara oge ni o.
Yes, wá bí láti Badmouth bàbá o.
Ẹ ṣeun gan.
We are recognizing him.
Thank you so much, Baba Yiloge, for that response. It's very appropriate. Thank you so much. Baba Adeniran, I want you to give us your last submission, and I want it to be based on Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu pride himself as somebody. I mean, he said it everywhere. Somebody who did what Awolowo didn't dare and what Akintola didn't do. If this Fulani, if they didn't return his coin for him, do you think that would be a step up for our ability to get our Yoruba nation easy and quiet? I want you to comment on that as we are getting ready to leave. Thank you, sir. Baba Adeniran.
There was one area that Memphis had said.
Baba Adeniran. Okay, Baba Akinshiku, I want you to respond to that.
Hello.
Baba Adeniran.
Okay.
Okay. Did you hear my question, sir?
I heard your question, and I'm going to disappoint you.
Why?
Because the job that you are asking me to do is the job that I'm asking all of us to do. Evaluate the things that have happened so far, starting from 1951, and reach a conclusion about the path we must follow. I am not really in the business of supporting or criticizing any individual. I want to deal with issues. And the issue that we have, how do we recover the Yoruba autonomy? That is, who are we before Nigeria was formulated? How do we get back there? If you say that you have achieved rapprochement with the Fulani that Awolowo did not, or that you have achieved rapprochement with this that Akintola did not, where has that taken us? How does that answer the question of where we are tomorrow? If we say you haven't, how does that address the question tomorrow? I want us to learn from all the good that came our way by luck from 1951. We had what I call the Awolowo crowd in one of the essays that I wrote. Awolowo crowd included Akintola, included all of the people that we are talking about today. We called the Awolowo crowd because he was the leader. I put Adelabu, who said ACNC man, as part of Awolowo crowd because contribution to make, either from government on the Awolowo case or from opposition in the Adelabu case, they are how we got where we are today. If I was singling out individual, I would single out the ones who have made prominent contributions without necessarily stigmatizing those who didn't have an opportunity so to do. I want us to watch the trend and use the trend that we watch to design an enviable future for our people, not to criticize Ayiloge or Akishiku or anybody else, because that's not how we are going to get where we are going. Now, there was another question that I didn't get an opportunity to answer. That nǹkan ti bàjẹ́ nílẹ̀ Yorùbá so much tó jẹ́ pé àtúnṣe ò sí. Náà àtúnṣe wà, ẹ lè kó sọ́jà mẹ́ẹ̀ẹ́dọ́gba sí Èkó, kẹ́ẹ̀dógún mẹ́ẹ̀ẹ́dọ́gba ọgbọ́n jagbára lọ. What I call unarmed victory may yet be our destiny if we learn how to think and to work our issues out carefully, as opposed to ìbẹ̀rùbojo tó jẹ́ pé àti nǹkan tá a mọ̀ ṣe gan ní ṣe because ẹ̀rù ti bà wá kọjá wẹ́rẹ́wẹ́rẹ́. That's my point.
Thank you, Baba Adeboye. Alàgbà Adeboye, guess what? You just appointed me instead of disappointing me.
Then I'm happy.
And that was where I expected you to go. Thank you so much. Baba Kishiku.
And okay, question, the question or the issue of this.
Which way to go, basically?
Yeah, the way to go again is to begin to educate our people.
Enlightenment. Public enlightenment.
Right, and to get especially the middle class who probably have a job now, who felt that or who feels that everything is all right with them, and therefore they are not concerned with the current development. And I would like to again restate the front page news item in today's Tribune, and the headline is that Buhari's men moved to pacify Southwest. They've started their game again, and they said they are meeting with Adebanjo and all these rest of the people. They are up to their game again. They have a way of pacifying people, tell them what they want to hear, and once they get what they are looking for, they turn into a different thing. Bola Tinubu cannot be different from those who were before him and who have tread that particular path, thinking that everything will be well. As long as Northern controls all this instrument of coercion in the country, they will continue to influence even those people that they try to put forward, thinking that that person will also dance to their tune. There's not going to be any difference. So I still remain convinced that the pathway for the Yorubas is to continue to agitate for Yoruba self-determination. The article also referenced the fact that they are worried now about the protests being led by Ninas under the leadership of Professor Adeboye. Akintoye. They are thinking that it's not good for them, it's not good for Nigeria, and they are trying to prevent that from becoming a reality. But we have to be steadfast, because there is no way that this Fulani will continue to back away from their sole objective, which is total domination.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. On this note, we have spent exactly 3 hours and 15 minutes of active discussion, intelligent analysis, and we have all drank from our wise men's pot of knowledge and wisdom. I'm really very
Where's your wise woman?
Yeah, I was looking for my wise woman. I thought I saw her today, but all of a sudden I didn't see her. But Yeye Omofolapo Ajayi Soyinka has always been with us. She's always very active. Even when we don't see her, she's still working for Yoruba Gbode, but she is busy with a lot of research work and grandchildren these days. But I thought I saw her today, but I find out that it wasn't her. So she will be joining us anytime soon. Thank you, sir. So before I go, I want to take this opportunity to thank Alaja Senabu Lanlokun. That was another person that made a donation during the past week. This is not the first or second or third time. And apart from making donations like this, everybody knows how she propagates Yoruba Gbode, how she share and spread the news of Yoruba Gbode. And we are very, very grateful to her. We are always, asking for donations because of things that we intend to do. We want to make this Yoruba Gbode to get to the outside, to get to the people at the market, Yaoloja, who doesn't know the reason for Yoruba nation or the reason why we should, stay away from the Fulani people. We want them to have access, easy access, to just stay in their market and be listening to Yoruba Gbode so they can learn, because we need them. We are working on doing so many public enlightenment, because when we know, we cannot be ignorant. We don't want our people to be ignorant. There are so many things that we need to let them know. Please think about us and think about this and help us like you have been doing in the past. People have been helping Yoruba Gbode from day one. I am always grateful, and I will always be grateful to you. Thank you so much. Also, Yoruba School is our new semester is starting this week. Yoruba Gbode, the new semester is starting. And we are now doing a lot of conversational language where we create scenario and then we just bring our learners and then they practice the scenario. And the next meeting, meaning they'll be using the words. Please join us, register your children so they can learn Yoruba, so they can speak Yoruba. I'm very happy to tell you that a lot of our youngsters, they are now doing their registration for Yoruba class. I'm getting from age 22 to 29, the Nigerian, the Yoruba that were born in America. They speak, they understand, but if some of them want to better the Yoruba that they have, it's really amazing. Some of them are in high places and they are doing great at their job, but they still know that Yoruba language is the best to learn. Please encourage your children so we can all learn together. By the grace of God, Yoruba Gbode will continue to thrive. Please, every Sunday, I want you to please help us to share it. Even when you don't receive the notification that we always send, use the one that you have. The same meeting ID, the same link, it doesn't change. Over a year that we have started this platform. Please join us, share us, so we can all grow and we'll be proud of Yoruba language and culture. I have to thank my dear Egbons, my elders, àwọn àgbààgbà tí ń bẹ nídìí ìgbà tí ò jẹ́ kí ọmọ onígbà ó ṣì gbà jẹ, starting from Baba Nijare, very, very grateful to you. Ọgbọ́n yìí ò ní dópin. He's always coming with ideas. He's always ready to help at any time. I'm very grateful, Baba Yiloge. Long live Pepe Lowu Sharo. I want to be young like you and be smart like you too. Thank you, sir. I'm also taking this opportunity to thank Baba Adeniran Adeboye Oniloko Marelu Kepe Baba. Thank you so much for being always ready to help, for doing everything to make sure that Yoruba Gbode is a star. Don't worry, we are going to make Bagan the world center for Yoruba Gbode, but Ijare will still be the headquarters, right?
I want Ijare ò ní gbà o.
Thank you, sir. Motudupe, I'm very, very grateful to Alagba Akinshiku. Thank you so much for your effort on Yoruba Gbode. I'm very, very grateful for what you do, for how you handle it. Thank you so much. I'm grateful to everybody that has been here today. The Baba Awolowo Foundation under our auntie, we are grateful for your support. We are very, very grateful. So on Yoruba Gbode, we are going to bring new things. Very soon, we are going to be inviting our media juggernauts. People who have made it, people who understand what broadcasting used to be during the past election. So we are going to be inviting them, and they are going to be talking about the impact of broadcasting on politics in Nigeria. We are also looking forward to host Baba one day. Abimbola Awishe Agbaye is coming to talk to us about the Yoruba belief in God, the God in Yoruba belief. Elegbe Emere Ati Amo Orisha is going to be very, very scholastic. So we are inviting you to help us tell all the students of cultural studies and Yoruba language all over the world, so we can make it a reality. I'm very grateful for everything that happened today. Please, you can always go back to Yoruba Gbode on YouTube. Whatever we do is going to stay there permanently, and you can listen at your own time. We are going to meet again next Sunday by the special grace of God. On behalf of the whole Yoruba Gbode team and all my ones that are right here, I'm very grateful. And I also thank my engineer here, Ayoteju Adekunbi, who made it possible by her helping me to make sure that everything was always set up. Thank you, my dear. On behalf of myself and everybody, I'm Shola Yusuf Aimunilomo. Obìnrin gbọ̀ngbọ̀ngbọ̀n bí ẹni tẹ̀pá òjé, àìtó ní bá gbé, ká má tó ní bá wí. Mo dúpẹ́ lọ́wọ́ yèyé mi o, Egbinola Adékúnbí Àtúnwá Ẹ̀dùn ló kọ́ mi láṣà, mo jèrè àṣà. Ìrè ní mòkun ará alágbẹ̀dẹ ọmọ atórin wúrin rọ ibi tó bá wà, ilẹ̀ ire ni. Till next Sunday, thank you.